Thank you for that presentation. And hello, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Isabelle Thibau. I'm a researcher at Healthy Workplaces. And I'm going to present my work on a survey we developed to assess workspaces and how they affect health and satisfaction outcomes. So today I'm focusing on what we are learning about workspace design from this survey. I'm briefly reintroducing the Healthy Workplaces model and our psychological states framework of need satisfaction to set the stage for the study. I will give an overview of the study, discuss our results, our conclusions, next steps, and implications of this research for architecture, psychology, and public health. So here we are, again, we have our Healthy Workplaces model, and this is essential for shaping our research. Our model posits that the individual is influenced by different layers of the environment, from the organizational context to organizational support and individual behavior change. Now, in the smallest bubble, we have the psychological and physical needs, states of need satisfaction. So having an environment that helps us satisfy basic needs of individuals will lead to outcomes that organizations want. Healthier employees, improved personal and organizational outcomes, and organizational and societal sustainability. We have identified 9 basic needs, 8 psychological and 1 physical. And according to our model and from positive emotion research, if we can satisfy these needs, we will have positive health outcomes resulting in increased productivity, engagement, and other outcomes that organizations are interested in. Empirical research has demonstrated that satisfaction of these needs directly impacts organizational and psychological outcomes, such as productivity, job and work satisfaction, and engagement. Knowing this, we sought to create a survey that would assess the physical, social, and cultural environment. We also know that they affect outcomes like health, productivity, satisfaction, engagement, but to understand how, we need to also examine the basic needs as a mediator. So you can see how this is shaping up. And here is the study overview. Our research questions are, what do graduate students need in their work environments to be successful? And how do their work environments affect their health and well-being? So the tool we used is a survey. We combed the literature for features of the environment that are known to have psychological and health effects on people, such as windows, natural lighting, noise, cleanliness, social connection, and control. This survey would serve as a pilot that we administered to 2 schools at UC Berkeley, the School of Public Health and the College of Environmental Design. And our sample size was 98. We had a 1 month response period and an attrition rate of 60%. And we collected descriptive statistics and performed pairwise correlations between independent and dependent variables. And again, our subjects here are graduate students. Our survey has 5 sections. We collected information on the context, environment, and individual behavior. So the context would be things like age, program of study, who you live with. We asked students to rate the importance of a list of workspace features that we gave them, such as windows, background noise, opportunities for social interaction, so that's the environment. And then individual behavior. We collected information on study habits, such as how long are study breaks, and where you go to study. And we also asked students to identify which of the 9 needs were satisfied by features that they deemed important. And finally, ask students to rate their satisfaction of various outcome items. We performed a test, retest reliability on the survey with 19 subjects, and correlations range from 0.72 to 0.95. So here we have our outcome measures, and we ask students to what extent they agree or disagree with these satisfaction statements, and they're on a 5-point Likert scale from highly disagree to highly agree. And now here I'll present our results. I'll address the following questions here in presenting our results. So first is, what do students find important? Well, here, I've listed features here that were almost unanimously identified as important. The takeaway here is that students really find physical comfort, cleanliness, freedom from distractions, connection, and safety to be top priority for their workspaces. I think if you all remember being students, this was probably important to you too. And now, we also want to know what features are most likely to satisfy those needs that we talked about earlier, those 9 basic needs. What we're looking at are those that strongly correlate with the basic needs. And many of these are the same as what students indicated as important on the previous slide. But we also identified additional features that strongly correlate with satisfying these needs in the box down there. So you can see we've identified features that are designed into spaces to address physical comfort, to promote cleanliness, to reduce distractions, promote connection, and promote security. Now in this list we have the needs, and in parentheses we've calculated the load of features that contribute to satisfying those needs. Here we see that energy, physical well-being, and positive emotions are most often positively affected by factors in the environment. The takeaway here is that the features in the environment have a greater effect on physical well-being, so your comfort, and psychological well-being. Now this table, here we have the results of a linear regression of strongly correlated need satisfaction and outcomes. We have the outcomes on the far left there. These are the satisfaction statements. And to the right are the needs that have high regression model coefficients. So I've just put our little framework down there so you can remember what all the needs are. And listed are those that, again, have high regression model coefficients. So what this shows is that the needs, having a feature that promotes that need will change the satisfaction rating. Only those listed there are those that change the satisfaction rating 2 points. So on a 5-point scale, it changes the satisfaction rating 2 points. So here you'll see a theme beginning to form, like autonomy and physical well-being, vitality, and engagement. So what do these mean? Well, these results reveal that we want to design for, in workspaces, to maximize health, well-being, and productivity. We want to design for physical comfort and cleanliness and freedom from distractions and connection and autonomy and safety. If we design these workspaces with features and elements that satisfy those needs, we can promote productivity, satisfaction of learning, and ability to achieve goals. So as next steps, we are continuing to improve upon the survey. From the pilot data analysis, survey feedback, qualitative interviews, other campus surveys, and consultation with other organizations on campus, we have redesigned the survey to collect more relevant information. We've expanded the independent variables to include food, financial situation, and to eliminate redundancy in the survey. We've also added more relevant outcomes. like satisfaction with job search, ability to build a professional network, and ability to build social network, all things that are important for graduate students and for secondary. We now have a larger sample. We are still studying the graduate student population, but campus-wide. So we have about 7,000 in our population, and we aim to have a sample size of 700. So the results from our pilot are a great start. There are some limitations, including the small sample size of our pilot. However, our second version has a much larger sample size. We've had feedback about what to add to the survey, what was redundant, and how to reduce respondent burden. Some great things we saw already are some themes popping up, including autonomy, reliability, flexibility, privacy, cleanliness, and security. And we will look for these and more themes in our second data collection. So from this research, we are learning about what graduate students need in their work environments to satisfy basic needs. And this is informing how we design workspaces for students and similar work environments like offices. When needs are satisfied, people perform at their best. So this presents a different starting point for designing buildings that is directly linked to need satisfaction. This research is directly helping us at Healthy Workplaces to build an inventory for graduate student spaces as solutions for workplace issues that come up on campus. And as you heard, we are involved in consultation on campus. We're consulting with the new building for UC Berkeley that will house the School of Public Health, the School of Education, and Psychology. And we are directly applying what we know to these projects and building an inventory to optimize need satisfaction for students, staff, and faculty. So here we have just a small sample of the floor plan and some issues that are arising and ways that we can ameliorate the design. So where do we go from here? Well, more data needs to be collected, and we need more research to refine our model and understand the relationships between work design and health. We will inform UC Berkeley campus of student workspace needs from our set of campus-wide data. And we're really excited because this research will help us develop an inventory and an assessment tool that can be used for workplaces and study spaces. So here I've listed some of my references, and thank you. Any questions? Yes?
Could you give an example of one of your survey outcomes that has in some way influenced some of your design consulting decisions?
That's great. So let me just go back to our outcomes. You can see. There we go. So yes, all right, the one that really was exciting for us is I'm productive when I study. And one thing we saw with that, with the features that were connected with this outcome, was having reliable internet access. And I'm sure all of you know, if you can't connect to the internet, or if you're having trouble with getting all the resources you need, you feel like you're not productive. So this is very exciting for us because we can now consult with the School of Public Health to provide spaces that can connect to the internet or you can plug in easily. Again, this goes back to flexibility and predictability. How can we design for that? So that's an example.
Yeah, also want to talk about how to bring nature into the School of Public Health.
Sure. So you can't see it from the floor plan that we had, but this new building will have great opportunities for natural lighting. There will be an atrium where there's the possibility of bringing in nature in the form of plants or designing the furniture to have wood grain, or colors that we know are associated with calm and well-being, such as light sage green, I believe is one. So there are many opportunities here to bring what we have learned from our survey and also from research into this consultation.
I'll add one more thing, which is they have stairways that are not exposed. And this is it's a cost issue. And so what are you going to do if you have access to an elevator and an enclosed stairway? How do you get people to take the stairway? So we are suggesting that they project nature scenes inside the stairways, because we know that if this becomes a pleasing place to go, they're going to use the stairway to be enveloped in this forest scene or a beach scene or whatever, and then if it moves, it'll feel like you're outside. So it's actually a video, not just a scene. And then if it changes on a frequent basis, you'll want to take the stairs to see, oh, what's the scene today? So that's one way of using biophilia to completely change the habits, and at almost no cost. A lot less expensive than an exposed stairway. Yes?
One of the firesides, are the ones that are lower on the list mean that person growth? Does that mean you shouldn't mind that and that's not on the shoulder mind?
This really tells us here what are the low-hanging fruit. So what can, if we already have a space, how can we maybe change it to get the outcomes that we want? That doesn't mean that we shouldn't focus on designing for personal growth, or certainly focus less on designing for safety. But this is just the results of our sample population and how we can design better for them. So these are, again, the numbers in parentheses are the number of features in an environment that contribute to satisfying these needs. So, for example, physical well-being or energy and vitality, there are a lot, we know that there are a lot of things that contribute to physical comfort in the environment. So it just means the features that contribute to these needs, satisfying these needs.
It could be that even though the features, they're associating the needs with the features, it doesn't mean that they have those features. So it's, they're connecting, how could you create this in the environment? And since, these come out very strongly, that there are lots of features that could build this. That's one way to look at it. We could do an assessment of the building to see whether these features are present. We'd get a good gap analysis.
Last question. Yes.
So in your next study, are you mainly using surveys, or are you also considering other measurements?
We are using the survey for this next administration. Actually, we're already administering the survey, so it's out to students right now.
Is there any way you can, as the doctor mentioned, is there any way you can connect the health records to your survey so that objective health measure in addition to subjective grade?
Right, so actually in this new survey, we added questions on subjective health measures, but it's a little difficult to connect medical records with individuals. That just gets us a little deeper in human subjects, going through them.
Anybody want to do it?
I have something to add. And sure, your team, Sam Gosling and Jamie Pennebaker, have been doing a lot of work with students and education spaces, and specifically in the classroom, and they've been connecting student records with performance in the class and their experiences with the environment, so there might be somebody that could talk to about advice on how to get through IRB.
I'm wondering if you can ask them to de-identify students and let them de-identify the data. Would be possible.
Well, I don't even think you necessarily need to de-identify data as long as you're keeping it confidential and, going through the proper channels. But it, there are ways probably through virtual methods to link data to link metrics and even possibly incorporate some real-time experience sampling in a way that people are using those.
One of the studies we'd love to do is do a monitoring of what's happening physiologically with what's happening organizationally. And it's just very difficult to figure out in what kind of environment could we get people to chew saliva wads and give blood 4 times a day in order to track what's happening physiologically to the things that are happening in the organization. There is a study by Go, Zenius, and Pfeffer, which was published in Health Affairs, where they did a modeling of what the relationship was with working conditions and then medical results. And they found that there was an excess of 200,000 deaths a year nationally caused by working conditions and an excess cost of health care of 5 to 8%, just because of bad management practices. So we know there's something there, and to be honest, I would love to guilt CEOs into changing their practices by showing them, you know what, let's not wait 10 years to see if this person develops cancer or diabetes or whatever. Let's find out what's happening physiologically now with a toxic boss, with a frustrating work environment, with stress-induced deadlines and things like that. So if anybody has ideas about how to get this done, please share.
Okay, thank you.